James and the green car. It's a lovely day on the island, Sodor. With all the engines bustling about, it seemed that nothing could possibly mess up this day. Nevertheless, James was doing his daily goods run to the end of the line. He was having an enjoyable day. The sun sparkled off his red coat, and he was making excellent time. Pulling into the yards, he had to wait at a crossing. A particular green car was making rude remarks to Oliver, who was doing the shunting. "You're an old pile of rubbish on wheels!" yelled the car. "Just move on and don't rush up by my road." "Your road?" replied Oliver, almost fed up with this car. "This road is traveled by other vehicles all day. What about Bertie and Elizabeth?" "All the commercial and industrial wastes. If everyone had one of my brothers, it would put them and you out of your business." Oliver said nothing as the car passed. As the crossing made safe for James, he consulted Oliver. "Who is that?" James asked. "That was Alexander," replied Oliver. "He's rude to whatever passes by him on the road. I think something must be done." "I agree," said James. "You know what? I think you could use a break. Could you take my passenger train? I could do the shunting for you." "That would be pleasant," replied Oliver. "Thank you." Their drivers agreed, and Oliver set out for the station, leaving James alone in the yards. For the rest of the day, James enjoyed himself, pushing the trucks about and cheerfully whistling at the other engines. It was the end of the day. James was to shunt the last of the trucks when he heard a car's horn. He looked at the road where Alexander was rushing through. He was waiting for a lorry with a heavy load when James made a comment. "You should be patient with the lorry," warned James, "or his load will become your worst nightmare." "Watch your mouth!" barked Alexander, and with a toot of his horn, the lorry began to pick up speed. "That wise mouth is turned dead someday," chuckled James as he went to finish his work. The next day, James was instructed to go to the yards to pick up a special load to bring to the harbor. While he waited for his train, he heard a crash. It was an orange car that slipped on some oil. Then he heard a familiar toot. Alexander was zooming down the road, unaware of the oil and the accident. James let out a warning whistle, but it was too late. Alexander slipped on the oil and tumbled into a bush. The driver walked away with minor injuries, but Alexander was total. James went to get a crane and workmen to clear the wreckage and move the badly crumbled car onto a flatbed. Dot took James's train, and James pushed Alexander to a workshop. "I'm sorry I was rude," sobbed Alexander. "If I was more respectful, maybe I would have taken your warning and prevented my accident." "Everyone learns a lesson every once in a while," replied James, "but usually not to this extent." James dropped Alexander off at a workshop and said his goodbyes and wanted to catch up on Dot's work. A few days later, Alexander was fixed and ready to be driven. His driver recovered from his injuries and was happy that the insurance covered the repair. Alexander has a more sensible car, always being polite to the engines, and is now great friends with Oliver.